Welcome. This vodcast summarizes the article An Epistemological Transformation in Educational Knowledge from ES514 Research by Jack Whitehead. It can be found in the book Digital Literacies in Education, Creative, Multimodal and Innovative Practices, edited by Yvonne Crotty and Margaret Farron, published in 2013 by Peter Lang. The author, Professor Jack Whitehead, has been developing the living education theory since the 1980s. He is currently Honorary Research Fellow at the University of Cumbria in England. Living educational theory is an approach to explaining educational influences in a person's learning. Individuals can generate their own unique explanations of their educational influences in their learning, the learning of others, and in the learning of social formations. It is a form of action research. Since 1993, ES514 researchers have contributed to the knowledge base of education. This approach focuses on educators researching their own practice. Self becomes the focus of the research. Methodologies include personal history, narrative inquiry, reflective portfolios, memory work, and arts-based methods. Donald Schoen, in his 1995 paper titled "The New Scholarship Requires New Epistemology," called for a new epistemology of education. In this article, Jack Whitehead contends that ES514 researchers have met this challenge and that through their explanations of their educational influences, this new epistemology is made explicit. Jack Whitehead explains that when he first started developing his living education theory at that time was constituted by the disciplines of philosophy, psychology, sociology, and history of education. Living education theory makes explicit educational influences. Jack Whitehead describes this as the reasons I give to explain why I am doing what I am doing. ES514 researchers include insights of theories from the disciplines of education to strengthen the validity of their explanations. In providing evidence for the epistemological transformation, Jack Whitehead argues that the following should be made explicit: units of appraisal, standards of judgment, and logics. In ES514 research, units of appraisal are the explanations produced by the researcher for their educational influences in their own learning and in the learning of others. Each individual is responsible for the creation of their own living educational theory. The inclusional I clarifies the individual's explanation. How units of appraisals are judged is by standards of judgments. Living educational standards of judgments are value-laden. Actions are explained in terms of the researcher's own values. Logic is focused on the way we make sense of something. There are two opposing views on logic. Propositional perspective claims that two mutually exclusive statements cannot be true simultaneously. Dialectal perspective claims that contradictions are the nucleus of dialectics. Jack Whitehead proposes a living logic that draws on both perspectives. Finally, Jack Whitehead goes on to explain that visual narratives that is, stories told through the use of visual media, enable researchers to communicate the meanings of educational influences in learning. Thanks for listening to this vodcast. For further reading, see the above journal.